Good morning. I'm Don Retzer, and I'm a member of your board. I want to welcome you here this morning. This is Earth Day, and it's a very special day. The singers were invited on Wednesday to wear something that was about Earth Day, colors that were like Earth Day, so we all wore dirty clothes. This place is a very welcoming place. And I want you to notice this morning that the architecture, the design of this room is made to welcome us in a very special way. So many spaces where people come to do this kind of activity have stained glass windows that block the outside, or the windows are very, very high up and you're not intended to see anything. But look. You can see the front courtyard over here. You can see people coming in late for church. Or you can be happy about that they are coming into an entryway that is all glass and all inviting. And then over here is our memorial garden. And this is the place where I will be united with the hundreds of people whose remains also go there. It welcomes me in and welcomes me back into the earth. And maybe you missed it last Sunday, but this pulpit, this new pulpit, is very special. It is from a great oak that came from our beloved Reverend Pumpkin's backyard, where during the pandemic she used to preach in front of that oak, and now we have it here with us. It feels like we are united and welcomed again across generations into this place. So welcome to you this day. I have one quick announcement, and that is that there is, the auction begins immediately after this service at 12 o'clock. You can begin bidding on the items online, and you can see many of the items down the hall today. But I'm so glad you're here. We will be gathered together for this Earth Day celebration.
Good morning. My name is Kirsten Fritz, and my pronouns are she, her, and I am the ministerial intern here at First UU. Today, in celebration of Earth Day, I have the honor of supporting our Earth Care Initiative, who put together this service. Joining me this morning are Anne Marie McCartan, the team's coordinator, Joel Bloom, Kate Barrett, Jim Blowers, Drew Friedley, Sarah Salto, and Charlene Harrison. It is our custom to open worship with welcoming our visitors. So if we have any visitors who are here for the first or second time, and as you are comfortable, please raise your hand, and Jamie will come around with the mic. Please stand if you are willing and able, and share your name and where you're visiting from.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Andy Gremmel, and I'm here with my wife Meredith, and we're visiting Ashley, our daughter, and son-in-law Scott, and we're really happy to be here. So, thank you.
Welcome.
Good morning. My name's Laura Waring. My mom is actually in the choir, so I'm here visiting, watching her today.
Welcome. Anybody else? Any other visitors? Well, welcome. We're so glad you're here. Now that you've all been introduced, please stand and greet your neighbor.
Good morning. We are the Rupp and Saby family. My name is Joe. This is my wife, Kristen, Libby, and May. And we are here today to talk to you about the Generosity Campaign. Kristen and I joined First UU as members in 2015. Libby at that time was 2 years old, and we had just moved back to Richmond from Denver, Colorado, where we had lived for nearly a decade. Both Kristen and I came from religious backgrounds, but as adults, we never really fully engaged in a church until we had kids. There was, and I think still is, something important to us about raising a child in a community that is bound by an explicit covenant to love thy neighbor, that believes in the inherent worth and dignity of all individuals, and that also encourages faith exploration. And First UU for us has really delivered on all of those fronts and even more. Since joining as members, we have been involved in the UU Christian group, the family group. We've taught religious education, and we've been on a smattering of committees throughout our time here. But one of the most exciting recent discoveries for our family this year has been the youth choir. Our kids have developed, yes. Our kids have developed relationships with other kids in church, and each Wednesday they come in and they are taught by an ever-patient Jamie. Not only lyrics and tune and pitch, but they spend a couple minutes each week kind of reflecting and talking about the meaning of the words that they're singing. And I think for May, her highlight every week is after choir ends, she gets a couple minutes on the drums to really explore her own creative rhythm. And then, a couple, once a month too, we're able to go down and join everybody in simple supper and have time with fellowship with other members of our church. So that has been really special for us, and I think the youth choir in particular has been really instrumental in our kids re-entering the church community after being out of the building for so many years during the pandemic. So we are very grateful for that. We pledged to First UU for several reasons. One is we want to support the staff and the programming that we value so much here. A community of love and support and exploration and growth does not just happen. It requires resources and support and commitment from all of us here in this building. We also pledge because we want to see our church do even more and grow. And, we've gotten so much out of all that our church offers, but we also know that the church could offer even more programming and services, but only if it knows in advance the resources that it has coming in. So that's why pledging in advance for us is so important. As of today, 160 households have pledged their support for next year here at First UU. That totals $556,000. We have a goal of $845,000, so we are at the same time incredibly grateful for the households that have already pledged, and we also ask all of you who have not yet had that opportunity to take some time today and this week and think about what pledge you can make to First UU for next year. You can do that either in the foyer after service or online. Thank you for your time.
Oh, testing. There we go. This song I'm Charlene Harrison, and this song is called "The Last Leviathan," written by Andy Barnes for the British Greenpeace movement. I can't get one. My soul has been torn from me, and I am bleeding. And my heart, it has been rent, and I am crying as the beauty around me fails, and I am screaming. I am the last of the great whales, and I am dying. This morn I heard the cry of my last companion from the blast of a harpoon gun, and then I swam alone. I reflected on days gone by when we were thousands, but I know that I soon must die, the last Leviathan. My soul has been torn from me, and I am bleeding, and my heart, it has been rent, and I am crying as the beauty around me fades, and I am screaming. I am the last of the great whales, and I am dying. This morning the sun did rise in a crimson north sky, and the ice was the color of blood, and I heard the wind sigh. I rose up to take a breath. It was my last one. From the gun came a roar of death, and now I'm undone. My soul has been torn from me, and I am bleeding, and my heart, it has rent, and I am crying as the beauty around me fails, and I am screaming. I am the last of the great whales, and I am dying. And now that we all are gone, there'll be no more hunting. The big fellow is no more, and it's no use lamenting. What race will be next in line? All for the slaughter. The elephant or the seals, or your sons and daughters. My soul has been torn from me, and I am bleeding, and my heart, it has been rent, and I am crying as the beauty around me fails, and I am screaming. I am the last of the great whales, and I am dying.
Our call to worship this morning is a responsive reading. It is number 550 in the gray hymnal, and it's also going to be on the screen. So I will read the plain text, and please read along with me for the italic text. This we know, the earth does not belong to us. We belong to the earth. This we know, all things are connected like the blood which unites one family. All things are connected. Whatever befalls the earth befalls the sons and daughters of the earth. We did not weave the web of life, we are merely a strand in it. Whatever we do to the web, we do to ourselves. Come, let us worship together.
Chalice lighting. We light this chalice. Oops. We light this chalice symbolic of warmth, of community, and the brightness that love brings to the world, illuminating our search for justice and peace. Light, that force that nurtures all living things here in our midst in this flame, so tiny yet so significant.
Please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing hymn number 175 from the gray hymnal, We Celebrate the Web of Life.
For
Please join me in welcoming Drew Friedley to tell us more about this month's Share the Plate organization, Living Water Community Center.
Good morning. Thank you. This month's Share the Plate is Living Water Community Center, and it was started in 2019, and it's a community center down in the Westover Hills, Forest Hill area, and they do a lot of tree plantings and in and around their area and in the community. They also have native bees and honeybees that they have there on site, and you can rent out bee boxes around the community. So they're always encouraging just a communal and an earth-centered focus on the community. And they do a lot of things that connects like us to earth. They have sound baths, they have meditations, they have a lot of things like this that also are very much related to earth care, and they focus a lot in their sound baths and some of the meditations, depending on who's leading them, into like a very earth-centered focus on that. So it fits well with our seventh principle, the interconnected web of life, and I think they do a lot of good in the community as far as they have like food pantries on site, they grow food on site, they do a lot of what we talk about with the earth care as far as like sustainability and keeping a very thriving, like interdependent, interconnected web of life going, not just here in the local community and like in their local part of Richmond, but just like, you know, putting out those vibes as like an overall general sense of connected life throughout the country and the world. So I encourage you all to give generously to this organization because they're doing very good work here in the Richmond community, and it's a lot of earth-focused center as this is Earth Day. So thank you. Offering will now be taken and generously received.
Thank you, Drew. So to contribute to this organization and the health of this church, please place your gifts in the baskets going around the room or use one of the methods listed on the screen, and we are deeply grateful for your gifts.
All right, so today's offertory is a sing-along. No, the words won't be on the screen, but yes, you will know this. And when it gets to the one part that you know, you're gonna sing it. You're gonna sing it.
Paradise, they put up a parking lot with a pink hotel, food they can free hot spot. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? Hey, paradise, they put up paradise, they put up a parking lot. Ooh, ba, 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 ooh, ba, 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 ba. Put them in a tree museum. Where are we? And they charge of people $1.50 just to see them. Ooh, don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? They paid paradise, they put up a parking lot. Ooh, ba, 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 ooh, ba, 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 ba. Hey, farmer, put away your DDT now. Give me spots on my apples and leave me the birds and the bees. Please, don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? Pig paradise, put up a parking lot. Ooh, ba, 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 ba. Ooh, ba, 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 ba. And last night I heard this green door slam, and a big yellow taxi took away my old man. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? Pay paradise, you put up a parking lot. Ooh, ba, 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 ooh, ba, ba, ba. Pay paradise, Put up a parking lot. Pay paradise. Put up a parking lot.
Come to the edge, running on the water. 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 Coming to the edge, running on the water. Come 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 to the edge, running on the water.
Hi, I'm Joel Blum. My preferred pronouns are he and him. And the reading this morning comes from a wonderful book of readings called Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. And it is actually the final paragraph in the epilogue of this book, and it invites us to the practice of reciprocity. The moral covenant of reciprocity calls us to honor our responsibilities for all we have been given, for all that we have taken. It's our turn, long overdue. Let us hold a giveaway for Mother Earth, spread our blankets out for her, and pile them high with gifts of our own making. Imagine the books, the paintings, the poems, the clever machines, the compassionate acts, the transcendent ideas, the perfect tools, the fierce defense of all that has been given, gifts of mind, hands, heart, voice, and vision, all offered up on behalf of the earth. Whatever our gift, we are called to give it and to dance for the renewal of the world. And in return, we receive the privilege of breath.
So just what is this web of life? Good morning, I'm Anne Marie McCartan. I am the coordinator of this wonderful group of people called the Earth Care Initiative, which has been meeting for 2 years now. With this service this morning, we observe the annual celebration of the known Earth Day. Earth Day honors the achievements of the environmental movement and raises our awareness of the need to protect Earth's natural resources for future generations. The first day was held over 50 years ago, April 22nd, 1970. Maybe some of you were around back then? Yeah, there's a lot of hands going up, So today we celebrate our Earth, and in particular through the lens of our own religious principles. Most specifically, the seventh principle. You all know it. It begins respect for, so say it with me, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. Now that second clause, of which we are a part, is integral to our interpretation of this principle. We often think of the Earth as a planet, a globe, and you're seeing it here in our beautiful Earth ball, the blue marble. You come take a closer look after the service. It's made up of NASA satellite images, and through the cloud cover, which is always present, you can see the land masses and the lights from urban areas. Since I first learned our seventh principle, it always brought to my mind the plant and the animal world as the core of the web of life. What came to mind for me was birds and the bees, and flowers and the trees, and spiders, of course, because it is a web after all. But now, after spending a good 2 years focused on all things Earth and nature through the work of our Earth Care Initiative, I'm coming to a new understanding of the depth and meaning of the term interdependent and the term web. I like this insight from the renowned eco-theologian Thomas Berry, quote, "The universe is not a collection of objects, but a community of subjects. Our own biosphere is a resplendent example of community. Humans are not the ultimate end, the goal of the evolutionary process, because no species is. Today, we need to think seriously about what it would mean to live on the Earth in such a way." For most of history, humans have viewed themselves by necessity as subservient to the natural world. Humans didn't control nature, nature dictated to people. When the sun went down, you went to sleep. If it didn't rain, it ruined the crops. If wild animals couldn't be found, you would go hungry. Nature was revered and believed to reflect the wishes of gods or God. For many ancient civilizations, nature was one in the same as spiritual practice. The notion of an interdependent web of all existence, of course, is not unique to Unitarian Universalists. In her book, Sacred Nature, the religious writer Karen Armstrong describes how many ancient religions and civilizations found the divine in nature. For the Chinese, the sacred essence is the qi, the vital essence of all things, the energy that pervades all of life. The Taoists subscribe to a similar notion, which they call the De. Zen Buddhists, pagans, Muslims likewise embed deep into their religious system the concept of nature as sacred and life as inseparable. Robin Wall Kimmerer, author of a book many of you have read, Braiding Sweetgrass, describes how closely connected all living things are in her Potawatomi tradition. Quote, "English doesn't give us many tools for incorporating respect for animacy. In English, you're either a human or a thing." She goes on to describe how in her own native language, it recognized the animacy of non-human life. Just as you would not call your grandmother it, in her language, the word for all humans and living beings is the same, Yahweh, to be, to be. But with the coming of the Industrial Revolution and the growing understanding of the science behind nature, people began to disassociate nature from godliness. The natural world was used and often exploited for human ends, logging of forests, damming of streams, mining for minerals, and so forth. But these activities required us to separate God from nature. God became, particularly in the Judeo-Christian traditions, something or someone up there, in heaven, God in heaven. Humans prayed to a God who was separate from the mystery and sacredness of the natural world. As Unitarian Universalists, we have the option of finding the divine, holiness, that which can not be defined, or the sacred anywhere. Even those who believe in the science as governing of the source of life can be open to the mystery of creation and innate spirit. So I invite you now to join me in taking a deep dive into a more fulsome picture of what this spirit, this essence, might consist of. What constitutes the natural world? So this is today's meditation. If you will join me, settle comfortably in your seat. You're welcome to look out into the beautiful memorial garden as we go through the meditation. You can soften your gaze, you can close your eyes. Just become comfortable in your body. Breathe in through your nose, exhale through your mouth. Take another deep breath in. Slowly let it go. Come along on this tour of the web of life and be aware of what resonates with you. Tap into all your senses that allow you to experience the natural world around us. Start by picturing looking out into a forest, a park, a mountain vista. Do you see green everywhere? Particularly that kaleidoscope of greens that appears in the spring? Does this worldview calm you, center you, make you relax? Does it make you feel close to spirit? Maybe you're the kind of person who connects with nature through your olfactory senses. Can you smell a storm coming your way? Do you recognize plant smells such as jasmine or honeysuckle as you walk through your neighborhood? Are you attuned to the different smell of bodies of water, say the different smell of an ocean from a wetlands? Some of us connect deeply with water. Say the sights and sounds of a mountain brook cascading over rocks as it flows toward the ocean. Or maybe nothing touches your inner spirit as much as the rhythmic pattern of ocean waves. On the water's edge, do you find yourself compelled to dip your toes into the water? Do you relish the cleansing effect of a good soaking rain? Or perhaps you picture yourself submerged in water, in a pool, in a lake. Maybe your bliss is dirt. As a child, you love nothing more than making mud pies. As an adult, you relish working in your garden to feel the richness of a good bed of soil as you plant. You don't even use gloves when you garden. You compost your food waste because you know it enriches next year's plants. Or maybe you practice something called grounding or earthing, which is believed to diminish chronic pain by walking barefoot on grass, sand, or dirt, and thus connecting to Earth's natural energy. For some of you, nothing makes you feel closer to nature than watching birds at your feet or in the winter, or birds splashing in the bath in summer. You've purchased a good pair of binoculars and have compiled a long life list. You can even recognize the songs of a couple dozen bird species. Others of you see spirit in animals, working animals, or domesticated. You delight in the antics of your backyard hens and appreciate the eggs they lay for your nourishment. Or your four-legged feline or canine is as much a part of the family as are the human members. So we end this visualization. If your eyes are closed, slowly open them, take a deep cleansing breath. There's so many other realms of nature that we could have envisioned and experienced. Insects, the weather, sea life, tastes, Now understand, it isn't idle downtime as you experience and connect these threads of the web. It's what keeps us from disconnecting ourselves as humans from the natural world. As our Unitarian forebear Ralph Waldo Emerson said, live in the sunshine, swim in the sea, drink the wild air. There is a risk to connecting too closely to nature. Oh yes, there is a risk. When we drive down I-95 toward Williamsburg now, and we see mile after mile after mile of the forest on the median strip being mowed down so they can add 2 lanes for car traffic, that should hurt. When you see a sign going up on your neighbor's property that a squad is coming in to hunt down and kill mosquitoes, that should hurt. And when you read that to power the growing number of data centers in Northern Virginia, they are proposing to fire back up all those coal-fired plants in rural West Virginia that were supposed to go offline. When you hear that, it should hurt. It should feel like part of you is under attack. These are examples of humans acting on the belief that their needs trump the natural order of things. It reminds me of something I read. If people destroy something replaceable by mankind, they're called vandals. But if they destroy something irreplaceable by God, they're called developers. Well, this is all well and good, Anne-Marie, you might be saying to yourself, but don't you know that there's an existential crisis out there called global warming or climate change? Enumerating the ways that the future of the planet is in peril would be a series of sermons all on their own. Today on Earth Day, we assume that you are only too aware of the changing weather patterns and natural phenomena to need to hear about them once again. Instead, we offer examples now to support the words of the environmental activist Bill McKibben, who says that when someone asks him the question about climate change, what can I do as an individual? He responds, stop acting like an individual. Indeed, the good thing about being a member of a religious community is that you don't have to go it alone. You're not you against the world. This is the philosophy we've taken in the Earth Care Initiative for the past 2 years. We don't kid ourselves that we're changing the world, but we hope, at least in modest ways, we're making things happen. So I invite now members of the Earth Care Initiative to either join me at the podium or move, for those of you in the singers, to move to your mic. They are going to start by introducing themselves, stating the problem that we identified that we wanted to address, and then what actions we took to address it. And I've reassured them that they want to be brief because you all have lunch to get to, so. Come on up.
Is it on? There we go. Problem, gardening practices. Americans have long used gardening practices that introduce non-native plants, rather than plant species that are intended to thrive within an area's ecosystem. We have insisted on acres of green grass and flowering and blooming flowers and highways and parking lots, while lovingly looking, this approach does not honor the soil, the climate, or other species of nature. What we've done here at First UU, working with Janice Coons, the leader of our volunteer grounds crew, several areas in our property have been turned into gardens and containers that we're calling pollinator pockets. If you look out this window here, you will see the pollinators that we have planted. There's some pots that were beautiful last year, and then some along the bed in the window, that's all pollinator native plants. And I just wanted to add that these are just little ways that you can do it, even at your home. Just take one little small bed, rip out your monkey grass that's horrible, and all that other invasive stuff, and just buy a couple of pollinator plants, native pollinator plants. And they kind of do their own thing.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Kate Barrett, and I want to talk to you about textile production and textile waste. Do you know that it takes over 2,700 liters of water to make one cotton t-shirt? The average American generates 82 pounds of textile waste a year. And when clothes are put in the trash or cannot be sold at Goodwill, etc., it can take 200 plus years for material to decompose in a landfill. During this process, toxic chemicals are leached into our groundwater and soil. Many synthetic fabrics leave a residue of microplastics that pollute our waterways and harm sea life. So what has our initiative done? I hope you remember that Jean Carter and Ann Joseph were in the lobby after services teaching us about how to shop at secondhand clothing stores, and in fact, giving us some recommendations for their favorite secondhand clothing stores. But we can also reduce waste, textile waste in other ways. We can break free of the control of the fashion industry. If we have skinny jeans in our closet, we can wear them, even if we're told that the current style is a wider leg. We can act in a way that demonstrates what we value, that we value the environment more than compliments on our style. Beyond shopping in secondhand stores, we can really be creative with this. We can shop our closet. We can swap clothes with a friend. It's possible to do it for a whole season. That is, as long as your friend doesn't work in the same office as you. To go to a wedding or a special occasion, we can rent an outfit. We have to think before we buy, and perhaps most important of all is that we have to really understand the difference between want and need when it comes to textile purchases. Thank you.
Good morning, fellow UUs. I'm Jim Blowers, and I would like to make a comment today about one of the things that we've been working with, namely light pollution. Unnecessary or poorly designed nighttime lighting leads to light pollution. Light pollution is defined as excessive or poor use of artificial outdoor light, which disrupts the natural patterns of wildlife, contributes to the increase in carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, disrupts human sleep, and obscures the stars in the night sky, replacing them with an array of sky-shattering lights. So what have we done about this? Well, we've identified several sources of light pollution that are near this church and wrote to the Richmond Office of Sustainability to draw this to their attention.
It's on.
That case, and I'll be okay. Okay, thank you. My name is Sarah Salto, and the problem that I have been assigned is the problem of humans becoming disconnected from nature. So what have we done? So in 2020, my husband Fred and I moved to a piece of land outside of Richmond. It's like 7.5 acres. And over the past 4 or 5 years, we have had several outings, and we would like to call them parties because we have a lot of fun there, of the congregation, various groups that we're part of, and we have them out. And we generally also take a walk around the land on many of the paths that we have built through this wilderness, because when we moved there in 2020, this place was amazingly overgrown, and I have some descriptions here. The 7.5 acres we moved to had been neglected for about 15 years. The woods, as well as the house itself, were overgrown with tough plants, many invasive, not all, poison ivy, greenbrier, all kinds of fun stuff. And there were numerous trash and debris dumps around,
as well as an abandoned car, which was also overgrown way down there in the woods. So I would pick a spot, and we would get started, and I would go down with my clippers and maybe a shovel, and we'd start digging and raking and clearing. One of the impressive places, though, was the household dump that was located, back behind the house, down the hill, across the field, and by the creek. And it was truly standard household practice back in the day before there was trash pickup, that you would just go, run down there and throw it by the tree, by the creek. It's just what they did. So I started digging down there and uncovered, I'm going to say literally hundreds of pounds of things that were glass, broken shards, bottles, plastic. Bed springs were my favorite, a shoe, even a purse. I actually found a bottle of old fingernail polish that still had some fingernail polish in it. Very interesting stuff. Anyway, so after digging and deciding that this place was going to be a garden, this dump was going to become a garden, this place now is my heart garden. And it contains hellebore and trillium and iris and daisy and my favorite spice bush and a bleeding heart and many other very beautiful plants that continue to grow and thrive. And so the lesson, the transformation, the lesson of this is that as you heal the land, you heal yourself. As I was digging in the heart garden, I was healing my own heart. And as you heal yourself, you heal the land. Thank you.
Joel Blum again. So the problem we discovered was that our church did not have any guidelines for the management of materials that can contribute to environmental harm. The action we took was to develop a set of guidelines for the management of materials here at First UU. We found that others had developed models utilizing processes that begin with the letter R. Most familiar being the 3 R's of reduce, reuse, and recycle. We chose the 5R model, which includes reduce, reuse, and recycle, but adds 2 more, rot, for composting, and repair. Our goal is for these guidelines to encourage better material management here at First UU, while also being a helpful guide for all of us in our management of materials outside the church. We have copies of these guidelines that will be available if you'd like to pick them up at the conclusion of the service in the front lobby. Thank you.
We, at the Earth Care Initiative, saw that composting was an issue, an issue of compost going to the landfill, creating methane, creating just the energy it takes to get there. So we set up a table in the lobby, answered questions, and encouraged people to compost on site at their homes. We also told people that there are public places like the parks and public libraries that have places where you could take your composting if you didn't want to do it at home. And we also turn people on to, there's a couple of places in Richmond that will give you buckets and you can compost. They'll come pick it up for you and exchange it with some fresh compost that's already composted for you that you can use. So just a good way of being energy efficient, and that's what we worked on for composting.
Aren't I lucky to have been working with this team for the last 2 years? Aren't they great? We also heard at the earlier service from Diana Embler, who has been the person behind our plastic recycling, very successful, already have gathered 250 pounds of plastics that will go into a repurposing of plastic bags. We encourage you to think of these as sustainable living practices. And on the back of the sheet that Joel just mentioned with the guidelines, the 5 R's, we've also enumerated a whole set of things you can do for sustainable living purposes. Probably you're doing a lot of them already, but maybe some of them you haven't thought of. So take one of those home with you and look it over. So what we've done in this service, looking at the web of life, we've imagined a common life force that flows through all things, linking them together in harmonious unity. That means that the whole world is greater than the sum of its individual parts. There's a word for it. It's called the ecosystem. The essence of human life depends upon the essence of all other life. When thought of this way, the phrase in our 7th principle may not sufficiently capture this notion. We are more than a part of the web of life. We are inescapably within it and among it. May it be so. Happy Earth Day.
The wisdom of the great chief Seattle reminds us all things are connected. Whatever befalls the earth befalls the children of the earth. All things share the same breath, the beast, the tree, the man. The air shares its spirit with all the life it supports. We did not weave the web of life. We are merely a strand in it. Whatever we do to the web, we do to ourselves. This we know.
All things are connected. All living things share the same breath. All things are connected. The air shares its spirit with all life. All things are connected, just like the blood which unites us all. All things are connected, whatever befalls the earth befalls the children of the earth.
Treat the earth well. It was not given to you by your parents, it was loaned to you by your children. We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children.
The beauty of a tree, let it speak to you. Nature speak to you. The fragrance of a flower and the freshness of the grass. The music of the sea.
Only after the last tree has been cut down, only after the last river has been poisoned, only after the last fish has been caught, only then will we find money cannot be eaten.
Our last reading is from Karen Armstrong called Quiet Sitting. We can train ourselves in what the Chinese call quiet sitting and learn to note the common life that flows through all things, linking them together in harmonious unity. As we sit and watch our natural environment, we should make ourselves aware of the way that birds and leaves, the clouds and the wind harmonize, so that we are not watching a score of different objects, but a whole in which each thing has its perfect place. If we develop a mind that watches and receives, discover the fluidity of a natural environment, we may be able to recover some of our ancestors' vision of a sacred nature.
Among other wonders of our lives, we are alive with one another. We live here in the light of this unlikely world that isn't ours for long. May we spend generously the time we are given. May we enact our responsibilities as thoroughly as we enjoy our pleasures. May we see with clarity. May we seek a vision that serves all beings. May we honor the mystery surpassing our sight. May we hold in our hands the gift of good work and bear it forth whole, as we were born forth by a power we praise to this one earth, this homeland of all we love. May it be so. Please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing the closing hymn, number 301, from the Gray Hymnal, Touch the Earth.
Walk on shores, must be the